Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Fad-Free Zone. There has been a topic that has been hot on everyone's lips that I am bringing to you today, and we are diving deep into the world of emotional eating and cravings. I know you want to know this. I know you've experienced it. Generally, everyone has at some point, and I really would love to dive into this because it really forms a very interconnected, intricate part of your health and the decisions that you get to make to support better health outcomes, right? And for the sake of keeping everything super fad free, I'm giving you this information so that it brings awareness to what's going on for you and what these subtle little hints from your body are really all about. So let's dive in. So first things first, I want to just talk about emotional eating for a second. Most people think that when it comes to this, it's a willpower issue, and I really want to drive this point home and tell you that it's not about willpower. It's not a lack of willpower. We've all got willpower, right? But when you're dealing with the undercurrent of emotions that have been suppressed for a long time, or that maybe you don't know what emotions they specifically are, the key here is not more willpower, it's actually awareness. Once you become aware of your patterns, once you are in your body enough and present with yourself enough to recognize the feelings, then you'll be able to start shifting them. Now, for most of society, and this ties into diet culture 100%, by the way, I totally include it in there. Mostly, we've been taught not to express our emotions. Certain generations, older generations, definitely. As we're progressing, this is becoming a little bit more open for discussion, which is amazing. But for the older generation, so those of us who are sort of millennial and older, definitely older than millennials, you were taught that expressing emotion was weakness, right? We see this. You were taught that you shouldn't. You'd get into trouble if you did, things like that. And it's stuff that we carry with us. So we have to unlearn the process of burying and numbing our emotions. It's totally okay to feel it. And when you feel it, you release it from the body. And when you release it from the body, then it's not going to sit there and fester and do harm because it does. Now, when it comes to emotions, one of the amazing ways that the body will give you little hints and nudges as to what it might need from you or what you might be feeling that requires processing is through food cravings. So most people think that a food craving is just an arbitrary thing and that it's normal and you go, "Oh, I'm craving carbs today," or but in actual fact, it's little hints and whispers from your body about specific things that it needs. So now it's your job to become aware of those things and interpret those signals so that you can better equip your body for what it actually wants you to deal with. Okay, so I'm going to give you some of the really common ones, and this is super fascinating. So if this has been you, like drop a comment and let me know what you get from this, because when I first learned this, it was game changing. This is a game changer. Right, so sugar and chocolate, the most commonest of common, especially amongst women who are PMSing. Oh, I know you love your chocolate. I know. Not everyone does, but most women do. So sugar and chocolate is something that comes across a lot. And yes, there are dietary elements to this. So if you are not eating enough, you're low energy, it's a really quick hit of energy for your brain. So there is an aspect of a physical reason why you might be craving this, apart from the fact that sugar is also very addictive to the brain. It follows the same sort of addictive pathways as actual illicit drugs. So there is a physical side to this, but for the sake of this episode, I'm just going to hone in on the emotional stuff, right? So sugar and chocolate is something that you're going to crave when you are looking for comfort. And the way you work this out is if you think about the time when you eat the chocolate. So if you were really intentionally eating the chocolate and sitting there and feeling it and assessing what it gives you, what would you notice? What was the feeling that it was giving you? And the most common need when this craving arises is a connection piece. It's a comfort piece. It's a reward piece. It's when you're feeling unloved, unappreciated, and you want something that feels comforting and soothing. This is your sugar and your chocolate. And how this works on a sort of neurochemistry kind of level is the ch sugar, the chocolate stimulates a neurotransmitter called dopamine and serotonin. So dopamine is your short-lived feel-good hit, and then your serotonin is your pleasure. So you're actually playing into the neurochemistry of what you need with these particular foods. So if you were craving the chocolate, maybe you could take a step back, ask yourself, what is it that you're really feeling and what is it that you could really use in this time, and then swap it out for something that is a little bit more associated with that, right? So hanging out with a friend or seeing a loved one, having a chat, having a fun time, going to do something that you love, like a hobby, those sorts of things might actually help with that. Common craving number two, carbs. Now, when I say carbs, I mean bread, I mean pasta, I mean pastry. You know, all those things that we eye out when we're on a diet and we leave it in the window out of guilt and shame. Okay. Carbs, pasta, pastries, those crunchy goodness. Yes, there's a quick hit energy thing here. Yes, that sort of still plays in. But on an emotional level, it's about security, it's about stability, it's about grounding. It's a comfort food as well. Those sorts of carbs are still playing into the comfort process. So find something again that's going to boost your levels of pleasure and boost your levels of joy. Hobbies, connections. That's your serotonin, that's your dopamine hit. It's still the same sort of thing. Again, there are nuances here in physical space. I get that. But this is what is commonly presented, right? You might have something different, and if you do, I would love to hear about it. However, from my experience, from my research, this is the commonly seen one. So carbs, your bread, fresh, especially those of you who love to get the fresh bread that's warm with the butter on top of it. So that's your carb and fat. Oh, that is a comfort food. That is a major comfort food. So what comfort are you lacking in your life that you could use more of? Next commonly craved thing that people tell me about all the time is salty and crunchy food. So this is your chips. This is your popcorn sometimes, crackery type things, like fried foods that have the super crunchy outside. The emotions that tend to be around this tends to be a bit more negative. It tends to be the frustration, the stress, right? So when you're feeling crunchy, like literally, it's in the words and the phrases that we use to describe ourselves. So when you're feeling crunchy, crunchy foods, right? So this is your stress release. And I mean, just imagine it, like when you're eating something crunchy and you're biting down and you're just like, it's such a stress release. Okay. So this is about tapping in and becoming aware of what's going on for you. Why are you frustrated or angry? Or where is the stress in your body? Can you release the tension? The salt aspect of this, so the saltiness, is also associated with that stress, and it's that increase in cortisol, it's that adrenal function. So it's the mineral needs. On a physical level, this can also play into dehydration. So just be aware of that. And stress and dehydration go hand in hand too. So be aware of that. The salt is going to play into mineral depletion from stress. So you're actually supporting putting minerals back into your body here. On an emotional level, find out what it is you're stressed about, what it is you're frustrated about, and start to do things that help with stress management. So this is your self-care. And it's more than just your bath, but in this particular space, having yourself a bath with magnesium salts in is actually perfect. because you're getting that extra salt in, you're getting the relaxation in, you're getting the stress release in. You're actually putting magnesium salts into your muscles, so anything that was tension, so the tension here is where we hold our stress a lot of the time, like that'll all relax out. So it's a really good thing. If you don't have a bath, a foot spa works really well, or a bucket with warm water. So notice your stress. When it comes to this point, it's time for stress management techniques. It's time for having that chat with a friend. It's time for grounding yourself. Take a glass of water with a little bit of lemon and salt in it and go and stand in the sun and ground on the grass, that sort of space. It's time to go and have a bit of a play and release the stress. The next one, which is like kind of like a lead in here, is going to be your fatty and fried foods. This plays into comfort. This plays into crunchy, sometimes, depending on what you're getting. This is a need for pleasure, and it's how do I say that? Like an emotional depletion almost. So it's the feeling of overwhelm, but like you're spent. You're just sort of spent. And the reason for this is these are often very rich, very satisfying to the brain. So you're getting a sense of satisfaction out of something. And it's the fat content is really good for your brain, and it's got a good mouthfeel, and it's everything that the body loves to have, the brain loves to have. So you're adding this level of indulgence in to kind of numb what's going on and coat it. You're trying to coat it. Again, pleasure, comfort. Ask yourself, what's going on? What do I really feel? What do I really need right now? And most of the time, once you acknowledge the emotion underneath, if you can name it, that's really great. If you can't name it yet, that's totally fine. Like it'll come with awareness and with really tapping into your body. But just start. Just start. Just try it out and see what happens. See what comes up for you. And rather than tapping out and going, well, I'm frustrated because of something that happened at work that I have no control over, and being like really defensive about it, tap into how you can control what's going on and how you respond and react to the thing at work. So, what emotion did that bring up in you? And how can you process that emotion so that it no longer affects you? Nobody wants to carry weight from like the world around us, right? Nobody wants to do that. So that's your fatty fried foods. There is an element of the fatty fried takeaway style foods that's also going to cross over from the salt. It's also going to cross over from the crunchy. It's also going to cross over from the carb. So when you're thinking fatty foods, like I'm thinking like the cheese on the pizza. If you're a stringy cooked cheese lover, that's actually where you're in. Where are you feeling empty? Where are you feeling depleted emotionally? Like what emotional depletion has happened? Where are you needing comfort? Okay. Cold, like creamy foods like ice cream, soft serve, milkshakes, yogurt sometimes, but mostly. So yes, there's a sugar element to this, but however, this is about soothing. So think about the actual texture of the food here. It really plays into this. So it's the actual soothing nature of what's going on. It's a softness. Is there sadness in you right now? Is there something where you just want that sort of blanket around you moment? You could just sit on the couch with a cup of tea and a blanket around you and you just feel comforted and soothed. Who can soothe you? Who can you reach out to in this moment to help you through what you're going through so that you can feel the feeling that you really need, other than getting it from the food, right? And here's the big one. I left it to last because there is probably about another 7 episodes that I could do on this one. Alcohol and caffeine. These technically are socially accepted drugs, especially alcohol. Right? Caffeine comes in little bits here and there. Yes, there is an energy aspect that plays into, so a physical energy aspect that plays into the caffeine and how you're getting quick hits of energy. However, both of these, particularly alcohol, plays into escapism. This is you trying to escape something. This is you trying to numb everything. This is you trying to find a coping mechanism because things are overwhelming. Most people who have alcohol tendencies are looking to numb. They've had a long day and then they'll come home, have a drink or two or three, and it's the idea of numbing the day rather than processing it. This is masking your fatigue. This is masking your stress. The trouble is that numbing it is just putting a plaster over it, and then eventually when you wake up, the plaster's just missing, and you're like, oh my God, what happened to it? Somewhere in the bed, who knows? And then it's raw and soft and exposed. So it actually kind of feeds into making it worse. Apart from that, you always need more to get the same level of numbing. So it's like a building thing. You get to a point where it plateaus and you don't get the same level of numbing from that, so you have to up your game. And this is how you develop addictions. So, alcohol. What are you trying to escape? What emotions are you trying to numb? And if this is a case of when you go out, then you tend to have more alcohol, ask yourself if it's really an environment that you want to be in. And if you're drinking even though you don't really want to, is it because you're worried about what other people think if you don't drink? Because that's an area there that you get to work on. Do you see how all of this sort of fits together in like really arbitrary, normalish things that we do in our day? So this is why I said to you, the first step is awareness. Bring awareness to how you feel. Bring awareness to what habits you actually run on autopilot. And bring awareness then to what you would like to do instead. So once you recognize what you're doing and what you would prefer to be doing, then you can start making the changes that you need to build new habits and step away from that autopilot function. That was big. And I hope you got so much value out of it because there's so many people that's talking about it and asking me about it at the moment. So I decided to put it out there for you. Let me know what you thought of today's episode. Share it with a friend, family member, someone who might need to hear this. Subscribe so that you get all the goodness of when the new episodes come out. And don't forget to tag me on social media if you've listened to this and gotten some value. I will pop all the relevant links in the show notes below. And my loves, I will see you next time. Have the best time.